Welcome back to the Night Shift, your safe space for talking about UFOs, UAPs, NHI, disclosure, and the general state of the world, which, let's be honest, it's kind of wobbly lately. Feels a little wobbly. I don't know what your anxiety level is like, but mine is unusually high. It's usually pretty high. I'm usually, like on a 10 scale, I'm usually operating at about a 7. If 10 is like full-blown nervous breakdown, I'm kind of riding at about a 7. How about you guys? Let us know in the chat on the 10 scale. 0, sound asleep. 10, nervous breakdown. Where are you on a day-to-day basis? Got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking to Georg Boch from the State of the World Forum. He's going to be filling us in on this really interesting, fascinating organization and this event that's going to be coming up. They have an enormous panel of spectacular speakers. We were just looking at the speaker list before the show, and Pippa Malmgren is going to be one of the speakers. Ross Coulthard's going to be there, and Chris Bledsoe, among many, many, many others. So can't wait to talk to Georg about that and get some more information. In the meantime, shout out to everybody in our chat. Thank you, Yvonne, for the super chat. Please, guys. Yeah, Yvonne says, please start hitting that like button if you don't mind. We've got 200 people in here and we're only at 72 likes. Let's see if we can get it up to at least 150. Come on, guys. Thanks for being here. Special shout out to our mod squad, our mod team that keeps everybody safe and out of trouble. Couldn't do it without you guys. So thanks for being here. And for everybody on our Discord server as well, the Night Shift Expanded Universe. You guys are the community, and you're the reason that everybody likes to come here, hang out, and talk, because we have such a great community. I would say probably the best out there in our little corner of YouTube. With that out of the way, let's welcome our panel. How's everybody doing today? We've got Pavel from Psychoactivo. We've got Dan from Others from Another Mother. And, of course, producer Xander Jones. How you doing, guys?
Doing great, buddy.
Doing great. Oh, hold on. Good. There you go. I'll squeeze myself in. Seeing as you
Hi.
And Georg, how are you, sir?
I'm very good. It's Friday evening in Berlin, and I'm glad to be back. And
it's great to have you here, man. Oh yeah, you were having a celebrity moment with Pavel there.
Totally.
He's an internet celebrity. I'm kind of intimidated to like hang out with Pavel now. We haven't hung out face to face, but
I gauge it on whether or not anybody's mentioned on Reddit, and Pavel
he was on my map for long before the Matthew Brown thing, but certainly helped.
Pavel is routinely mentioned on Reddit these days, so.
Yeah, not very nice things.
No,
though,
it's always nice.
Are you a Reddit superstar, Pavel? The Reddit superstar? I like it.
Apparently, there was one time when they got really angry at a video I did on Eric Weinstein, and they started coming after me like really nasty stuff. And the Reddit mods erased a lot of messages. It was kind of my fault.
Chaos.
You guys better be careful. If you come after Pavel, you better be careful. He doesn't play fair.
Well,
he keeps wild dogs.
I hope you stay out of trouble, Pavel. Just try to play nice with everybody out there. Let's see if we can.
He's as nice as they come. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. You are an internet celebrity, though, for sure. UFO celebrity.
You are our Paris Hilton, and we're so glad to have you and claim you.
One night in Tijuana.
Just as blonde, yeah.
Tijuana.
Let me bring it back to the State of the World Forum, guys. For those of you who don't know, the State of the World Forum is an international convening platform that was established in 1995 to bring together leaders from across politics, science, business, spirituality, and the arts in order to explore systemic global challenges and chart pathways for transformation, which is kind of what we do here at Night Shift in a much smaller, more humble way. By transcending traditional silos and engaging diverse intelligence, human, technological, and cultural, the forum fosters dialogue and action around big frame issues such as governance, redesign, ethics of emerging technologies, ecological regeneration, and the evolution of global institutions. Its importance lies in its ability to convene multi-stakeholder networks at moments of epochal change, offering both horizon scanning and strategic coordination across disciplines. And the State of the World Forum is coming up soon. And Georg, what can you tell us about it?
Yes, thank you so much, Clint. Well, it is indeed a reboot. Like the description you read was probably for the one that happened from 1995 to 2000, convened by Jim Garrison, who is the person who invented the State of the World Forum, together with Mikhail Gorbachev. If you want to share the screen that I shared, you can see some of the images from back in the days from the 90s. You see that? What I'm sharing? We could put that up. I have
Yeah,
like
just
one or
give me
two
a second.
slides.
Do you have a way to turn yourself up, Georg?
Louder, you mean?
Yeah, quite a lot louder.
Oh, let me see if I can
Shout.
do that. I can scream. It says here auto gain control is on, but
Let me switch to manual gain.
is that better?
Yeah, a little bit. Just hold the mic closer to your face, I guess. But yeah, I'll add your screen.
Basically, speak like this.
There you go. That's much better.
Is that
much
better?
Much
All right.
better. All right. Let me throw up the screen. Hold on a second.
So basically, the reason I can speak to you today is because of Jim Garrison, who had the forum initiated with Mikhail Gorbachev from 1995 to 2000. And I want to rest with you guys on this well, what you said before about the stress level of today, because like the idea of hosting a global forum seems more impossible than ever before, right? It's not something that's easy these days for many reasons, but in 1995 to 2000 there was like a new idea that after the end of the Cold War, um, people could like come together for the first time on a global stage beyond divisions and talk about what it would take to have a sustainable future. And that was a groundbreaking idea back then, and it almost feels futuristic compared to what we're doing or living through right now in global politics and so many levels. So it's a weird juxtaposition that Jim now had the idea of rebooting it for the next 5 years. So this is not a one-off event. This is a new meme that we want to create with the UAP community, with the Psi community, with the AI community, with the um, nature indigenous knowledge community of bringing forth a new paradigm, just like the forum from 1995 to 2000 brought in this idea of, for example, sustainable development goals that was first developed back there, but that today now seems, of course, pretty outdated. And so the idea is really to have a convening platform for the questions that we have to deal with in the next five years. And I can, if you share the screen again, we can go um, through these. So the big problem, of course, that you have when you want to convene a global conversation is like, what do you actually agree on, right? I mean, I think Obama once upon said people are entitled to their own opinions, but not to their own facts. But even that seems a bit naive at this point. So what we came up with is, what if we would formulate kind of four truths that are hard to ignore and very seldomly put together on the same table? And truth number one is that there is this just increasing stress factor on the global system, volatility in the markets, disconnect between human beings through social media, through the economic tension, the geopolitical tension, and so on and so forth. And this is, of course, not helped by what we're doing to the ecosystem. And the second truth, so we're formulating, is that it's really hard to argue against the fact that our ecosystems are under duress. People can argue about how big global warming is going to be or not, but the fact that biodiversity loss is real, hardly anybody is arguing with that who drove with their car and doesn't find any bugs on the windshield after hours. And the third truth that's also pretty much accepted in mainstream is the one that we have unleashed artificial intelligence. We don't quite not know yet quite how steep this takeoff is, but it's a pretty big disruption on so many people's lives and so many beliefs that we had about what it means to be human, how the economy is supposed to work. And the fourth one, which is kind of new to the table of global affairs and which is not being discussed in Davos yet, but which we want to push by bringing kind of in this Davos conversation, is the idea or the question of UAP NHI disclosure, who all of you are very, very familiar with. And so this is kind of what's utterly new about it, that we bring the UAP conversation into this global stage that before, where before it never was addressed on a global stage.
So,
Yeah,
what
go ahead.
precipitated the reboot? What was the thing that
So
kickstarted
actually, a good friend of Jim, Lynn Twist, went to the Amazon and had a ayahuasca journey, and she was contacted by some entity that told her that this has to be reinitiated. That's the full story. And then she called Jim, and Jim was like, "Oh boy, she's right," or this entity is right, and then off we go.
That's how it starts.
Yeah, that's how it starts. Yeah.
An ayahuasca
Same old story.
journey. Same old
Always.
story.
Same old story. It's always like this. And so the point really is not that we're trying to have some philosophical academic concept. It's really about operational realities in terms of ecology, geopolitics, AI, NHI. And so the big four pillars of what this next 5 years of content are going to and conversation are going to be convened around is this idea of four intelligences, one future. Because if we talk about what's consciousness or how conscious are plants, versus AI versus humans, that's all very philosophical and very academic. But we can't really argue with the operational, like pragmatic reality that there are different types of intelligence. If it's mycelia or animals, nature, ecosystems, we can't really argue with the reality that they're intelligent, right? And AI as well, and UAP, of course. So the idea is that we're not alone, we can make it alone, and that there is a kind of new Copernican revolution that is happening in many communities, in the UAP community, of course, but also in the community of AI researchers or those who are researching ecosystems in mycelia, that wow, my God, there's all this other intelligence and all these capabilities in this language of consciousness. Like, for example, also the telepathy tapes and the Psy research by Diane Helen C. Powell, who is also going to be a speaker. That is a new paradigm emerging that's very disruptive and liberating. And we want to be a platform to evolve this. This conversation about the multi-intelligence revolution. How does that land with you guys?
I would argue that mycelium is cosmic intelligence too, because technically they do come from space, spores and mycelium in general. So whatever information you get, if you have psilocybin, that comes from the stars, bro. I think. But yeah, it's a really cool idea. We're also approaching a singularity, so might as well start talking about all of it now in a forum like this. So I like it.
Awesome. And you, Dan, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I can't add anything more than what Pavel just said. I think I agree completely. It's a very exciting time, and the lineup of speakers is very impressive, and I'm sure they're going to add a lot to the conversation. I mean, there's some really heavy hitters in there. It's very exciting.
Let's have a quick look at those. Hold on.
Yeah, let's do that.
I think it's particularly for us in the States, it's almost disorienting to see anyone thinking in a forward positive way about the actual problems of the future and the singularity and trying to do anything about it. We're so mired in all kinds of internal nonsense right now. So it's refreshing. Yeah,
and we had planned to do this as an in-person event in Washington DC for the longest time, until kind of in October, where we really got difficult with the visas, and we just realized it was impossible to convene kind of speakers from all over the world in the US for many reasons.
Yeah.
And so we switched to a virtual event for this year. But next year, we're going to do an event outside of the US in fall. But yeah, you can go to the website and kind of browse the different speakers organized to these intelligences. And if you look at the schedule as well, it's really not so much about having endless TED talks. It's more about putting together people that represent different types of expertise and
Mm-hmm.
have them in conversations where they can find new points of connection and new insights that wouldn't usually be emerging. Yeah, so intersection of AI and NHI, or um, people who, like Chris Bledsoe, all of a sudden speaking to a water scientist,
And just
Georg,
for
Veda Austin.
well,
good.
go ahead, Dan. What were you going to say?
I was going to ask Georg who he's most excited to hear from on this panel. Like, who are the 2 or 3 he's most excited to hear from?
It's a tough one. So I really looking forward to Ross's panel on the convergence of AI and NHI, because we really worked hard on getting people in the room who are both steeped in what's going on in cutting edge AI research and are also very much involved with the UAP disclosure world. And I think there is a lot of potential there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For people who, if you're not looking at your screen, or if you're just listening and you don't know what we're looking at, the speaker, I'll just throw out some of the names. This is just a few of the folks that are going to be speaking, but Dr. Avi Loeb, Diane Hennessy Powell, Beatrice Villarreal is going to be speaking, Lisa Miller. Let's see who else. Rupert Sheldrake,
He's my favorite.
Ross
I
Coulthard,
love
Chris
that guy.
Bledsoe. Rupert's great. He's so good. Pippa Malmgren.
Same. I love Rupert. Yep.
It's just an all-star lineup. Will any of these speakers be in a like group conversation, or are these all one-on-one presentations, Georg?
That was my next
The
question.
entire point is to have panels that are moderated so that the conversation can be orchestrated and we can tease out kind of the points of where people converge, but also where they disagree. Especially now that we're going online, it's much better that way. And then there's also going to be always an unplugged session afterwards where people in the audience can ask the folks questions. So we want it to be as interactive as possible, and also have kind of a community platform where the learning goes on, because we really want to blow people's mind with this. We really want people who before only looked at nature intelligence and maybe into the world of ecosystem restoration and how nature kind of manages to restore itself intelligently after a wildfire. Like those guys come into contact for the first time with UAP disclosure, and especially now this moment where this UAP topic is kind of bursting forward with Bill Maher, the Night Show, or just Age of Disclosure, right? It's really the time where we need to broaden the conversation so this UAP becomes less of a rabbit hole and becomes more kind of established in a new paradigm that intersects with other cutting edge topics.
Well, that brings me to the next question, which is, it seems like in the last few years, like the Seoul Symposium, which you just went to, right? You were at the Seoul.
That's right. Yeah.
By the way, how was it? We didn't even ask you.
I think it was great. It was such an important event, and especially for us in Europe, it was just total blast to have these American disclosure advocates come in, and they were all so open and um, very friendly, and it really felt like the transatlantic alliance is doing very well.
That's positive. Do you feel like the Seoul Foundation, the Seoul Symposium, and what you guys are doing with the State of the World Forum, does that represent a new era? Are we stepping into the next era of the disclosure conversation as a society?
I certainly think so. I think what's happening is that folks that were before kind of on the fence, they're seeing that with Age of Disclosure, the conversation just becomes more and more acceptable, and so they have more courage to step forward, I believe. And 3i Atlas also has helped in its own weird way to kind of destigmatize the topic. Even the weird UAP incursions here in Europe, we don't know what's happening since the last months. these drones over these bases in Belgium, Germany,
Back in the UK as well now.
Oslo, Denmark, UK, right? It also has helped to make the conversation more palatable to many people. So yeah, as with Eric Davis, that people are ready. They're just waiting for the go. I think with disclosure, like the traffic light is on orange. People are like ready to step on the throttle, but the signal, right? The marching signal. You're good to go. You won't get into trouble. Like, this is what we're waiting for. Are we going to get it?
I'm so glad you put it that way, because I haven't been able to put words to it, but that is exactly right. You just nailed it. That it feels like everybody is waiting in the wings, and like the people are all ready to go. And that some people have been getting greenlit to say certain things. And so it's almost like this buildup, but then do you think it was just the legislative hurdles of getting the disclosure amendment passed here in the States that
it didn't pass, right? It's dead. I mean, they tried 4 times, didn't pass. Carl himself made like this and said, probably it's not going to work anymore. We have to change strategy. But as a counter to that, we finally got Age of Disclosure to be released in November, which in a weird way may even be more powerful. Like, if you would have to choose between Age of Disclosure and the legislation, the legislation is probably not going to be respected anyway. Just like the one that's active right now with the archives that's supposed to be released. I mean, that's all stuff that nobody cares about. It's not going to blow. It's not going to be a threshold moment, really. But I get, from my perspective in Europe, right, where we're like ages behind. We're here like 20 years behind the American conversation. What's about to happen in the US, like with the late night shows and stuff I know is happening in Hollywood, like just how popular Chris Bledsoe is as UFO Messiah.
He's hanging out
basically.
with Margot Robbie
and
now.
how he's connecting all of them, right? Yeah, he's connecting.
Really?
Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him.
Oh my
It
dating.
feels to me like your guys are at the brink of a cultural revolution or something. It's like the summer of
UFO
UAP
Messiah
love or
doesn't sound that great. If I'm honest.
UFO Jesus,
UFO Jesus.
No, he's UFO ambassador.
That's
it's really
better,
hard
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does feel. I'm curious for you guys, just for everyone here. Do you guys feel? I can't escape the sense that we're in some kind of like 25 years from now, we're going to look back and think this is the most punk rock shit that ever happened, and it happened right here, right now, and we were participating in it. And at the time, it just felt really weird. But it's going to be like people will look back and go, "Wow, that's when it all started to really happen." Do you feel that way?
You were saying that in your show you put out yesterday or Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
You kind of said that, and I related
Got immediately
to that.
banned.
What do you mean?
They
Really?
pulled that episode. Yeah, Deep State.
For
Comedy.
what?
I got to put it back up. It was the Bill Maher thing. It's HBO.
Oh, okay. But I love the way you put that. It does feel like we're kind of at the beginning stages of something very, very cool, and it's a lot of fun. But it does feel like a very punk rock thing to be into at the moment.
Well, think about, just going back to the origins of the State of the World Forum in the early 1990s, after the fall of the Soviet Union. I remember that time. I was 9 years old. I remember, that was kind of when I was starting to come online, and actually the internet was starting to take off a little bit. And I remember experiencing that, and it felt like there was a tremendous sense, at least here in the States, not in the former Soviet Union, which was a complete disaster, but here in the States, it felt like there was a real sense of optimism. Like we won the Cold War and it was all over. Now we can take all that defense spending that we were, putting towards whatever and reallocate it to some other things, which they did for a period of time. And then
it was a big deal. Yeah.
Right. And there was this optimism and this general sense of like, we can look forward to a bright future. And if we, all we have to do is fix climate change. And at that time, it felt like a fixable problem. And it was like, wow, it's going to be really great. And then somewhere right after 2001, like 9/11 happened. And then we just sort of entered this sustained period of high stress craziness. And it feels like right now, as you described, Georg, it's like these huge tectonic shifts are happening. You have this new understanding of consciousness, artificial intelligence, the non-human intelligence. All these things are coming to a head. And Pavel, you said the singularity is coming, which I agree. This is like one of those moments, one of those huge historic moments, and it's very strange to live through.
Yeah, it is. We're getting ready to.
Yeah.
You know?
I know
as Terence McKenna would say. Yeah,
we mentioned Eric Davis not all that long ago. He said some stuff this week. I've got that clip lined up if you want to watch it. I mean, He didn't say it this week. He said it was aired in an interview like 2 days ago. And I remember we were watching it together, weren't we, Pavel and Dan? And I think, but all of our jaws were just like,
How long
when
is
he
the
said
clip?
It was like
He
30,
said
40
what?
seconds. Yeah.
Let's take a look. Is it tie into what we're talking about right now?
Well, it talked about the whole, like, everybody's just got the lights are on orange right now, and we're just like, everyone's ready to go.
Oh,
basically.
yeah.
Release us. Let us talk.
Yeah.
Roll the clip.
Yeah.
With a big direct challenge. It's good.
Claims.
If the President of the United States issued an executive order that absolves me of all of my TSSCI NDAs. NDAs are non-disclosure agreements. Those are the agreements we have to sign for every compartment in our SCI clearances. So if the President waives or absolves my obligation to those NDAs, and I get subpoenaed by Congress, somebody on Capitol Hill, some committee, either in the Senate or the House or the both, to reveal everything I know that I learned from my investigations, both unclassified and classified, into the legacy UAP, crash retrieval, and hardware reverse engineering and NHI programs, I would do so. If I could be waived from that or absolved in some fashion by presidential order, and if Congress subpoenas me, yes, I would go and tell them everything I know.
Dr. Eric Davis makes it very clear there, James, that he knows stuff. He, as you know, investigated the claims that there was this legacy UAP, NHI, non-human intelligence craft retrieval program, and he became aware, he's testified before, that there has been this ongoing reverse engineering program. What he's saying, though, is very significant, because he's essentially saying, if the president, if Donald Trump was merely to say, overnight, I can waive those secrecy orders, I can waive those NDAs, he, Dr. Eric Davis, and presumably many other witnesses could come forward. So
Wow. I haven't seen that.
How significant is Eric Davis? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Did we lose Georg?
No. So he switched off his camera. Oh, no, he's back. I think he was maybe sorting some family stuff out, but he's back.
I just want to point out
I was
that
listening, I thought it would be better to.
The whistleblowers that we've been following for a couple of years would also do the same exact thing, and they've basically said the same. So Matt Brown, Dylan Borland, David Grush, they would all do the same if given the same freedoms.
So somebody tagged Anna Paulina Luna in like a tweet, like it within the hour. Like, you got to tell the president.
Well, I wonder if what we're seeing here is the coordinated rollout of Plan B.
Oh,
and that's why you're hearing, like, come on, Siri, my watch started talking. If maybe that's what it is. If Carl Nell, I don't believe Carl Nell does anything without coordinating with like 30 other people. I just can't see how a guy like that does it. Like, he's just too much. Like, when he says something, it always coincides with like 10 other people doing something at the same time that kind of fits in. I can't prove it, but I feel like this is a coordinated messaging campaign to raise public awareness. And the timing, I wonder if, of Age of Disclosure and all of these other conversations that are happening at State of the World Forum, maybe that is the right next step. Get this not just on people's radar, but make it top of mind for them and find a way to connect.
Maybe.
Georg, do you think, to the extent that State of the World Forum is going to be engaging this topic, are they trying to steer the conversation in a pro-disclosure way, or are they just trying to open up a free dialogue, or what is the? objective.
So there are many things we could say there. I think first of all, what kind of happened, and there I would agree with Cornell that since David Grush, there's been kind of a runaway, uncontrolled disclosure situation happening. So where our community was like dialed into every little seismic movement of a single tweet, registers things, and things have been kind of evolving rather quickly, like with Davis in Burleson in 1st of May talking all of a sudden about these different species that before were UFO lore, or with Skywatchers, or Hal Puthoff on Joe Rogan. I mean, all these things, like for people who are in the know, like add up and say, "Oh my God, something's happening." But if you talk to people outside of that bubble, like not much has really moved the needle since David Grush. Like when I talk to people like that were so like new to this thing, like why did you come here? You say, "Oh, David Grush." Like this guy, his presence, presidential clearing, it just got the gut feeling that something's off here and I need to know what's happening. It was always like an irrational knowing for many people. Because at this whole conference, I mean, there were like Swiss family office investors, neuroscientists from Berkeley. It was just a crazy mixture of high profile people that what in hell are they doing there? Like, and so I think what we shouldn't underestimate is that my sense is that there has been this type of runaway disclosure to a small minority, but the mainstream hasn't really been invited to the conversation, especially because we haven't done a great job as a community to brief them on what we care about, what they should look at first, like what is the best evidence. And so that's what we also want to do is at the State of the World Forum to connect um, the best evidence we have on the UAP reality, which is very much nuclear and consciousness based, to other fields that are already investigating consciousness and the nature of intelligence. And so, for example, with the AI guys like Deep or Jonathan Berta, who is also at the Soul Foundation, we're going to look at stuff like what do we know from AI alignment challenges that helps us understand the NHI intent, right? Because there are many of these questions that pop up in different fields, and that's where we think there can be a lot of synergy and also acceptance of the UAP research topic if all these other smart people understand the problems this community is working on. So, yeah.
I think that makes you make an excellent point, and it's one of the things that I think is so inspiring about what Avi Loeb is doing. And I saw Gary Nolan was on that UFO podcast. I think I saw him yesterday, giving a shout out to Avi for giving academic cover to other people who want to look seriously at this issue, but maybe have been afraid to approach it. And now here comes Avi, and he creates a space where if he's going to step forward into that space and talk about it, it's going to be safe for others too. And I feel like that's been happening more and more. And maybe what we've been seeing over the last few years is evolutions of this attempt to kind of communicate these things to people. And I feel like it's starting to reach that inflection point. You guys are going to be doing watch parties, right? Can you tell us about the watch parties and how that works?
Just before you do, Georg, if you can just like eat the mic, just like get it right up in your face. It's all good. Like it doesn't. We don't care how you look. We'd rather hear you than
right.
Not
okay, I'll do my best to eat the mic.
You have a very pretty face, but just cover it with mic. That's all we need to do.
I'll try. Is this better? Is this better?
The louder you talk, the better it'll be, I guess.
Is this better?
It is
okay?
better.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So the watch parties. The watch parties is very straightforward. Because we don't do a live event this year, people are gathering in their living rooms, little cafes, community centers, and just basically watch the live stream. And then we give them a panelist invite, and they can kind of call it and greet from different places over the globe. And so to create a sense of community and belonging and being in this together, because we have a very global audience. It's just amazing to see people reaching out from Turkey, from Nigeria, from different places that somehow learned about this, because we're also working with Children's of the Earth and different other kind of organizations. Then we have a lot of scholarships also to people that wouldn't be able to afford the $200 prize. because of course it's only viable for people in the West, but we really want this to be globally accessible. And through broadband in many, many places and cell phones now, it's really for the first time, I believe, possible to have like a global podcast, global virtual event that back in the original State of the World Forum was very elitist, like stage, sages on stages. And I mean, we still have sages, but we have them in an interactive format.
I think that's the biggest change, right? I mean, that's the most, or one of the most significant changes in the last, say, 20 years is how these online communities have coalesced around these discussions. And you have these different groups that are focused on a lot of the same things, but may not realize that. And I am just like, I'm looking at the speaker list again, and you have representatives from indigenous communities. You have Lakota spiritual leader Looking Horse, Arvel Looking Horse, Chief Phil Lane, who's a Dakota and Chickasaw leader. And you have, who else? Dr. Ann Polina, Professor Ann Polina is a...
She's from Australia.
Can you tell me about her a little bit? What can you tell us about?
Well, she's an indigenous community leader, I think from West Australia, but she also has 2 PhDs. And so she is like, if you Google her, you can find a lot of great podcasts with her. We also have for each speaker a little link that gives like a little taster of what this person is kind of about. But the point is that she really is able to combine this Western academic perspective with indigenous knowledge. And so I believe she will be part of the opening circle and kind of lay out what's happening with the ecosystem and how the indigenous knowledge can help us kind of basically reframe the way we understand what land is in a very holistic way. Yeah.
And it seems like it's a critical time for humanity. It's more important than ever that we seek a diversity of opinions and perspectives on the possible future outcomes of all these different technologies and the way that we're treating the earth. I mean, it does seem it's so I guess to my eye unusual to see people thinking, such forward thinking, organized in such a way, with these crossing so many disciplines. You have artificial intelligence and nature intelligence and all of these, the cosmic intelligence angle, bringing that all together into one large discussion. We need more of that.
Well, Jim, Tom, in the team, we developed this fundamental thesis that what's next for us, like the new literacy, is not just AI literacy. It's actually literacy in the language of consciousness. Like the data we have is pretty clear that there is such a thing as a language of consciousness, some type of communication between intelligence in nature that is deeper than just our semantic language that we use. And all the evidence.
Are you saying like you're making me think of ayahuasca as a gateway to plant knowledge, right? As something Pavel said
exactly. Yes. Yeah. That's exactly the intersection of the nature intelligence track is really about all the knowledge that indigenous communities already have from the nature kingdom and their relationship to that intelligence, and that goes into that direction. But also I'm speaking about, the evidence from telepathy tapes and all the other 50 plus years of psi research and remote viewing programs that really have made it clear beyond any reasonable doubt that there are clear psi effects that work beyond space and time, which implies that there is a language of consciousness. There is a way we can, as intelligent beings, understand the world and other beings in a way that's not limited by language. And so that's this multi-intelligence revolution that we want to initiate with this forum over the next 5 years, like a new meme that's like broad enough but also specific enough to help change people's perspective on their personal capability, like as a human being, but also to what's possible.
And it seems like these are all tools that we have had forever that we've kind of forgotten how to use. So it's not really new knowledge, but tapping into old gifts and skills that we had hundreds or thousands of years ago, I think.
In some
That's the argument.
cases, it's been forgotten, but in other cases, it has been suppressed. Recently, I found an old clip from Dr. Dean Radin saying that they did a study on human DNA to try and find the psi gene, and they found that there was like an absence of the gene in the Christian and Catholic communities, and the only logical explanation was the Holy Inquisition. That when they did that, that gene was lost within those communities. So it has also been suppressed. It hasn't just been forgotten. And
So
I don't know if
really a
you're,
gene, an actual
yeah,
gene.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And they said Dean Radin was like, we're hoping to find like the gene, but in like less people from the whole world population. And we were surprised that we found it in like 60% of the people that we studied, and the other 40%, the only commonality they had was that religion, specifically Christianity. So that's the only logical explanation, like the Inquisition, that they did suppress it back then.
Wow. So what's this gene? I've never heard of this. This the Acai gene.
You would have to go to Dr. Dean Radin's work in general, because he's been doing it for the longest time. I think he's the one who has the most research on that specific topic, but he worked with world leading geneticists, and that's what they were trying to do, try to find the predisposition to psi abilities through genetics.
Wow. Tell me more,
Genetics,
Georg,
dude.
about this idea of the language of consciousness. You kind of went quickly through that, and
Yeah.
can you tease that out for people a little bit more? Because I'm not entirely clear on what exactly we're talking about.
Well, it's a very new idea we're developing, but if there's something that's like at the core of what puts the four intelligences together, that would be this hypothesis that's very clearly indicated by the data from these different fields, that there must be such a thing. And even like Dr. James Tilakatsky, I put a quote in there if you want to share the screen that's up. I think it's in the recent, it's like an older interview. I think also, Pavel, you made a podcast about that, did you? So there's this nice little quote. He doesn't say much, right? Mr. Tatsky is very...
I did do a podcast about that, yeah.
Yeah, you did, right?
If there's a topic, Pavel's done a video on it. That's for sure.
Right. He's working very hard.
Always.
Yes,
Still
he is.
starstruck.
But what I found striking is that James Tilakatsky then said there, kind of out of the blue, in this very nuts and bolts conversation with George Knapp, that the key thing about disclosure is that our full human capabilities are not known to us right now, right? And so what is he talking about there? I think obviously it's clear he's talking about Hal Puthoff's work, the Psi work, the telekinesis stuff. And I don't know if you guys been following the Psi games that Hakeem Isler has been initiating. I think there was also a big thing happening this year in the disclosure community. And as well, the stepping forward of the people from the Mindside community. Do you know Dahlia Bourgoin that was just on Danny Jones' podcast?
Yep. No, but I've heard about Mindsight. I have heard that before.
Right. If you want to share like a tiny clip, I put this tiny clip here in the chat. We can just skip. Yeah, skip to the middle and you'll see what it's all about.
All right. And also, by the way, Georg, your microphone now seems to be working at cranked up to 11. So you can sit comfortably.
So I can step back.
Well, yeah, for the time being until it decides to change its mind again, and then I'll tell you again. Okay, no, it's good. I'd rather you were too loud than too quiet at this point. Okay, I can share.
This is just, I think, many people with remote viewing, it's like hard to prove, is this real, is this not real, but with the Mindsight stuff,
I'll reserve judgment on this. I know, I've seen this clip before.
You have? Okay.
For the people that are about to sort of roll their eyes, just like listen to the conversation. But yeah, for sure, like this is definitely interesting. So let's play it. Here we go. And also,
Here.
I'm sorry, you
I'm
can
like,
probably
whoa,
hear my
I can
kid
still
having
see.
the time
And then
of
I was
her life in the bath right now.
Don't we
You
all?
don't.
That's what I was laughing at. Somebody in the chat was like, "Why is Xander laughing?" It's because I can hear her chuckling. Like, anyway.
really scared to put both on.
Now, do you think I could be able to learn how to do that?
Oh, everybody can.
How do I do it?
Just skip to somewhere where she's doing the test or something.
The main secret that give me a second to
Okay.
get this on right. Okay.
This will be more shocking for people because you got a blindfold on and we're going to put something random stuff behind you.
Okay.
She hasn't, and folks listening and watching, she hasn't seen what I got. I'm
And put it
totally
on
hidden
her
behind a
camera,
curtain.
Steve, so they'll see you'll be behind her holding the object.
We'll see what I can do. Usually it has to be like
Okay.
Do I have to
think-
hold it within the window?
Yeah, hold it in front of you, Steve.
Okay, can you move it around because moving helps.
Are they on the bridge of the Enterprise?
Oh, I'm seeing something, but is it
Jones
like
is dead.
can you move it again?
He's moving it.
I'm definitely seeing it, but I can't make it out right now. Is it like blue or green?
No.
It's not, huh?
My shirt is blue.
Oh,
Maybe he's in. Yeah.
can I hold it and? Oh, then I'm gonna know the
Can I
shape.
feel the
Yeah,
shape?
then you notice.
I still don't know what it is, but I
That
see.
does-
But I
That's the
can't
worst
tell what
part.
it
And I
is.
think that part is like really bad. Later on, it's much better.
Yeah, this is not.
Is it a
impressive.
pyramid?
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, I can't tell what it is. What is it? Well, I guess I'll just look.
It's just a pyramid. It's a
Okay.
white. It's a white pyramid.
It's white. That's what it is.
By the way, she just looked under
So
her.
sometimes
goggles
in my
to color.
back windows, if you give me like words or something, I can know exactly what it says, and if I look at it, it looks like Greek, and it's very weird. Or certain shapes too, like or no, I can see shapes pretty well, but
If you skip
pyramids.
it'll look
later,
not like specific.
she has like a streak where it works really well.
Move it around.
What the?
Yeah, like with the books or something.
Like I'm seeing. Can I hold it again?
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't count. You can't know.
It's a complex shape.
I have that.
That's so
that
weird. I'm
maps.
not getting it today. Can
Let
I
her
hold
hold
it
it.
again?
This is
This is
annoying
what
video
Johnny
right
Carson
now.
did to Yuri Geller.
I didn't see this. But
There is
this
a part
Oh,
somewhere there earlier that where she's reading
It's so
the
weird. I'm
books,
seeing
and
it, but
works
I
very
can't
well
make
for
out
her.
the color.
Anyway, she
It's like
won the
black and
Psy
white right
Games earlier
Watch.
this year, and she
I'm
is
not
very gifted. There is a
surprised with ability
part.
By the way,
I know which
yeah.
part you mean.
when I was at Contact in the
yeah.
desert, when I was at Contact, they did a live telepathy demonstration, and she was the one doing it with her daughter, and I was part of the experiment. So I watched her do it in person, and it was mind blowing in person. Those were the absolute worst examples we could have just seen, without any
Yeah,
question.
thank you.
But
Thank
like,
you, Sander.
she really did do some incredible work in person.
I'll find it. I'll find it. I know which parts you mean. I'll find
With
it.
the
and I'll
books.
share it. Yeah.
She's reading the books.
Can I hold the pyramid and then guess what it is, please? Can I hold the glue gun?
The same with the phone. Like, can I feel
Yeah.
this object that I definitely have in my pocket and everybody
Can you
has
describe
it?
what it is and what it does, and then I'll guess what it is? Yeah, that was a bad example.
Yeah. Well, I believe that there are people who can do it, and I know that there are people who can do it really well. You know, it's a matter of established fact that these faculties exist. But I do think from time to time, putting somebody under weird conditions and stressing them out and being like, yeah, you're on a podcast with 1 million people are going to watch this, now perform. Sometimes people can choke. I get it. I would give her the benefit of the doubt. But if she did it a second time and choked a second time, I'd have questions.
So this is
well,
the part
most
that
of
you
the
were-
podcast.
Okay,
is about
hopefully I
her
can see.
doing,
Okay, let's do it.
So now
This
she's
is
So
the,
this
this
said-
is the problem. Like, you can see the angle on her head right now. Like, I don't know, but like, this just
so right
doesn't
now,
look like
I just want to point
normal.
out under the main blindfold, she has tape over her eyes and then another blue patch of tape over. So she's triple blindfolded at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see her putting on like different layers right there.
I've conditioned myself to not see.
Okay, so that's impressive.
Yes,
And then
Okay.
and then if it's anything like, let me show you what these masks look like. So I have one right here. They have these cups underneath. Now,
It's like earphones.
yeah, they go over your eyes. Coming to a sponsorship near you, by the way. So yeah, the problem is, and I don't want to just shit all over this. The problem is, you can take these off and you can reposition them, and depending on the positioning, it makes it very different. A very different experience. If I do this and turn that cup the other way round, I can see.
Yep.
And I don't, again, like...
But the tape, if she has the tape.
She's got tape, so that's impressive. Yeah, I don't know what that tape is right now. Like, but yeah, it looks like tape, so she can't see.
There's a...
Like. Yeah,
there's a great...
She can't see, that's for sure.
There's a great
I would agree.
Clip of Hal Puthoff on Joe Rogan, and I used a clip of this in an episode. I just interviewed the former president of the International Remote Viewing Association, John Cook. We had a great 2.5 hours sit down, and he told me all about just the beginning. This organization was started by Hal Puthoff. He was one of and Lynn Buchanan and a few other remote viewers, all the people from SRI. And he was saying how on Joe Rogan's show, Ingo Swann, who's one of the most famous remote viewers of all time, there was a quark detector that was sealed inside of, but beneath the floor of Stanford in a concrete underground bunker. It was like 2-3 stories below the ground. And Ingo was able to, by sitting in a room, draw out. He drew a picture of the quark detector, the shielding around it, the superconductors, and the quantum chip inside. He actually was able to draw this from rooms away, and he was able to turn the quark detector off, and it freaked out everybody at Stanford, all the grad students who were in charge of this equipment, because they thought it was broken. They thought something was wrong with it. But he could they would watch it on a sine wave. He said we could see the sine wave, and we'd say, Ingo, make it go flat, and he would just make it go flat. And then he'd say, make it go fast, and he would make it go fast. And this was something that he could do like on command.
So
I mean, I do believe this stuff is legit.
UFO.
That's how the entire Psi world. Sorry, but this is how the entire Psi research started. I think at Princeton back in the days when the fighter pilots had the issue of kind of changing their instruments with their anxiety, and they wanted to understand like why are these magnetic instruments kind of freaking out when our pilots are freaking out, and that's how the peer anomaly research started. And over 40 years, they established that there was just a statistically significant, change induced by intention that made it clear that the Psi is real.
I actually have this clip. You guys, can I show you guys this real quick? You guys mind? There's only
do we want to finish watching the Dahlia clip quickly?
I think we should. Otherwise, you don't do it justice.
We should probably give her a chance to redeem, because what we've shown so far probably wasn't fair. Let's show the bits that she does.
She is impressive.
She does well with. Here we go. And again, people in the chat, just chill. It's cool. We can just watch this clip, move on, and talk about the next person.
The natives are restless.
Okay, hopefully I can see. Okay, let's do it. So this says Area 51. It says,
she has
what is
tape
that?
over her eyes
Uncensored.
right now,
What did that say? Something top secret military base.
She's double or triple blind.
Oh my God.
Okay, pause there real quick. It's possible.
Okay, so this one.
If that was laying on the table, and she saw it and read it, and then she heard him pick it up. I could hear the paper sound in his hands. I mean, maybe it's possible that she just knew what the book was. Is he pulling those books out of a box or something off to the side, or are they on the table?
I think
either way, she'd have to guess. She'd have to guess the right books in order. He does it multiple times.
Okay.
4 or 5 books.
Sorry,
but I just had a realization. Something just dawned on me. When I saw this in person at Contact, she was doing getting the same results. But she was saying she was getting them from her daughter telepathically. And that's what it appeared like in the room. But now she's doing it without her daughter there. And now I'm confused. Like, does her daughter do anything? Or does she just see the stuff on her own?
Her daughter, my understanding was that she and her daughter could see, they could see through each other's eyes in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could, and that's who was the...
Well, We can
Yeah, the
ask her
psychic.
next week. She's on Humanity Rising next week. She's a speaker at the forum as well.
Yes,
So
that would be great.
I will
I would
ask
love
her
to
that
know.
question. Like,
what's the difference between what I saw at Contact and what we just saw on Danny Jones? Because same results, same kind of, I don't want to say tricks, but the same experiments.
Well,
with the same results.
We should point out to the people in the audience that our friend and friend of the show, Chris Ramsey, who is also a world-class illusionist and magician and is well known for that, was there at the Psy Games, right? And he was observing a lot of the stuff that was going on. And when we asked him what it looked like, he said, as far as I could tell, from what I was looking at, it was all legit. I didn't hear him. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I didn't hear him say anything that looked out of the ordinary to him.
I think he has some other opinions. I think he has some other
impression he's reserving judgment and sort of staying.
Yeah, but here again, I think there's also an indigenous component to this. So, for example, the Kogi tribe in Colombia, they have some of their chosen children grow up in the dark for the first years in order to develop this mindset. There is kind of a history of shamanic initiation to hone these abilities. It's not like everybody has them, everybody is born with them to this degree, but I'm talking human potential, right? So there's something in our DNA, and it doesn't really make sense. Does it make sense from an evolutionary standpoint? Question mark, right?
I think so.
It seems as if, yeah, but then again, like if it makes so much sense, I mean, seeing without your eyes, that would be a total evolutionary kind of
well, look at a flock of birds,
jailbreak,
or a school of fish changing direction in en masse instantaneously, and the first fish in the line and the very last one, could be 12 feet away. They move at the exact same time.
That's the language of consciousness. Like Psi is the baseline of life,
right?
Systems.
Which makes sense because you always hear from UFO contactees and NHI contactees and experiencers. Almost every last one of them says all communication is telepathic. It would make sense that might be a universal form of communication. I mean, I could see, like, if you think about a tribe of hunter-gatherers, 10,000 years ago or 20,000 years ago or whenever, moving along in a group, if you could even just rudimentary basic ability to communicate from first to last person in the group, what's going on or a sense of danger. I mean, all of those things I would imagine would give you a huge survival advantage. Seems like it would make sense. We'd all have it.
I've been doing a lot of work about Jacobo Greenberg, the Mexican doctor.
And you blew my mind with this guy.
When you talk about the indigenous communities that have this more latent in their young people, and they grow up to become shamans, essentially. Jacobo did the most extensive study in shamanism that I know about, and he was a scientist. He was a psychophysiologist, and he studied about 6 or 7 different very famous shamans at the time during the 70s. And something that people don't often talk about is that he was also teaching children how to mind sight. And there's a lot of testimony of Jacobo himself doing lectures at UNAM University, and he was teaching people there and showing them what he could do. And essentially, this is what people say that he did: that they grabbed a book and he could like open any page of the book, and he, without seeing, like triple blind and all that, he could read the entire page of the book. And obviously, this is just testimony. There's like, I haven't seen proof of that. That doctor disappeared in 1994, but this is not new, really. And that connection with the indigenous communities, especially some of the most famous shamans like Pachita or Don Panchito, those guys could do stuff that, to this day, I still think should be impossible. And yet there are a lot of really prominent names that went to visit these people, and they wanted to debunk them and they couldn't. Jacobo himself went for 2 weeks with Pachita, and he ended up staying 2 years, and he couldn't debunk her at all. So yeah, there is
Is,
definitely a historic component.
In
with
the
it.
Hindu world, we have the yogis with the cities. In the Asian world, we have, kung fu masters, tai chi masters. We've seen all the videos where they put paper on fire by the chi that's being shot out. There are
That
lots
chi
of
stuff is amazing.
Yeah, that chi stuff is also weird, right? But look at all the data points here,
Right.
and then in Russia there's this bunch of famous telekinesis kind of experiments and extremely gifted people with psi ability. That just, if you look over all the map, it seems to be, and let's just say, a genetic anomaly that we're prone to, and that makes me really wonder that, like, it pops up, like it has been badly suppressed, like it pops up like an error in the matrix here and there. Just to me, it's very unusual. It would be like, we have chimpanzees and some of them can fly or something, the other ones can't.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird.
Well,
If we
let's listen to this clip, guys. This is just for people at home. If you guys haven't seen this, there's a great, I recommend you go watch it. It's this interview I did with John Cook. I'm just going to show you the first 2.5 minutes of this video, which is the SEP, and it has this clip from Hal Puthoff. So take a look at this. Let me see if I can
just while you load that, this is a very quick question. Have you guys heard of somebody called Darren Brown?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's famous in the States, right?
I mean, famous enough.
Famous enough, right? Okay. I'm just wondering, like, it's
we have a different kind of fame, I guess, over here.
Yeah, true. Yeah. The only reason I ask is because he's obviously an incredibly gifted magician, illusionist, I think he would call himself.
Mentalist, right? Or
mentalist, that's the one, yeah, sorry. Yeah. And I think the gauge that I'm trying to get to is the fact that he will recreate a lot of these things, but potentially in different ways, albeit like the whole like reading from a page in a book kind of thing. He presents it in a slightly different way. Like he will effectively, he pretends to read the book really fast. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then he'll say, okay, pick a page, any line, and he'll recite it word for word. And it's obviously an illusion. He's got an incredible memory, but it's not that good. So I'm still like, when it comes to the people that are actively, pushing themselves out as somebody that a conjurer of cheap tricks, I think is the Lord of the Rings line, where instead of doing the whole yogic thing, which is really exploring this inside their own mind to find the inner meaning, that's where I get a little bit hesitant to just accept it. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in a bad way. I believe psionics
But what's
exist.
cheap about it, Xander? Well, where's the cheap part?
The effect more than anything, because there's no profundity in it. Because I guess that people have been doing this for 100 years, and that's fine. But the vast majority of people, 99% of people, will say, "Oh, that's a cool trick," and then they'll go on with their day.
Yep.
And I think there's a bit of a problem there, because it needs to evolve past that at some point. We need to find a way to do that, and I'm not saying I have the answer.
To be fair, they're also being presented as tricks.
They are.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's trivial in a way. It doesn't matter. Right. The consequences don't matter. Like 5 minutes ago, this person couldn't do the trick, and now she can do it. And it's like, it doesn't matter either way whether she can or not. Like, a lot of people will believe her no matter either way. Like, and I'm trying to get to the point where, okay, how do we evolve from that to, okay, let's explore what the whole power of it really means.
I'll tell you, I mean, when if it's presented as entertainment, it will be perceived as entertainment. So it needs to be a new way of showing, like, hey, this is serious, not like a street trick or something, but like I guess side games are kind of what that sort of is a little bit, but presented as entertainment, it'll be perceived as entertainment.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to shit on anything. Like, I want the conversation to move forward. I think talking
Definitely.
is the best way to do it. But yeah,
I like the side games approach of like, in a sense, gamifying it and making it. It's like yoga, right? There was a time where yoga was like so goofy, and the idea of in the West, and like the idea of Americans doing yoga was just silly and stupid. And like this whole idea of like Eastern mysticism and Eastern wisdom, until Alan Watts comes along and introduces it to all of these squares. And then you get this like, and a lot of other people too. There's all kinds of different things. But Alan Watts is my favorite, so I like to use Alan. And then you get this sort of blossoming of understanding and people exploring it and learning about it. I feel like psionics is that in beginning point too, where it's becoming this, the telepathy tapes was a huge thing, right? It marked a shift in the cultural understanding of what telepathy even means. And then you have the Psi Games kind of creating a forum for people to demonstrate their ability. If the key for the Psi Games is going to be maintaining as much transparency and fairness as possible. So there's like, if they ever get caught screwing anything up, it's going to be hard to recover from that. They've got to make it totally, as airtight as possible on these tests. But it would also be interesting to see. It's like Pavel, you and I have talked about this. Like, what if you could start an academy, or like what if you could start a school where you had the best psychics and all of these spiritual people from around the world come and like build a training regimen, that could teach people how to do this. But this is what they did at SRI. They actually went out and they took, Ingo, and they had Ingo break down his process and then create a system that could be taught to military people. And then they went through the military and they actually looked at records of combat soldiers who had unusual luck. Statistically, the number of people who were getting injured or killed in a particular area, they would find the outliers that were like, why is this guy never in the wrong place at the wrong time? This guy seems to get through fine, even though he's doing all the same stuff that all these other guys were doing. So from that data set, they were able to create their list of candidates, and they brought these guys in and then ran them through this process. They assumed that they must have some kind of latent psionic ability because they are somehow able to sense danger before they get hurt or killed. And it turned out that some of their early remote viewers, like Joe McMoneagle is one of them, who just didn't, he was in all kinds of dangerous situations and just managed to not get injured or killed.
Spidey sensors.
Some would say that's also intuition that we don't listen to as much. But intuition is a big thing we need to. Yeah.
But that school would teach the language of consciousness. But it's about literacy, and also sovereignty in that, because I think one of the paradigms we're moving out of with the remote viewing way, military kind of way it was instructed, is that you were very much kind of an asset, objectified kind of as a person who has these abilities, and it wasn't really part of your personal development in that sense. It wasn't really allowed to expand your sense of self because, of course, there's also an element of power that comes with it. But this is different now in the sense that we are saying consciousness, the language of consciousness is about relationship. It's not so much about being a psionic asset that wants to instrumentalize this towards a kind of a lower or like very specific means. And I think that's a shift that needs to happen in people's minds.
Do you mind? After the clip, I can say something because it's going to be a little bit long, but I want to talk on this. Okay.
I just want to show this to make a point real quick. I think this will be interesting for the audience. Here we go. This is just 2 minutes.
People you've never met and who may even be thousands of miles away and literally see through their eyes so vividly that you can describe precisely what they're looking at. It's called remote viewing. And one of the world's finest exponents who's worked for people at NASA is sitting right over here, Joe McGonigal. Thank you for coming this evening, Joe. Is it really possible to see through someone else's eyes or sense through their senses?
Actually, we're not sure exactly how it works, but it is possible to report on the position or place that they're located.
If you want to know how the trigger mechanism works on a Chinese nuclear weapon, out of body's better because you can go to the Chinese nuclear weapon, put your face in it, look around, do detailed drawing. But if you want to know where all the parts from the weapon came from, remote viewing is better.
So we had an experiment set up at Stanford that was a very sensitive quantum chip inside of electrical shielding, inside of magnetic shielding, inside of superconducting shielding, completely acoustically isolated from the environment. no way anything on the outside could affect that little chip. And I asked him, well, how'd you know what to do? He said, well, I didn't know what to do, so I just looked inside through all this shielding. And he drew a diagram of what was inside there that had never been published. And he said, well, this is when I put my attention on it, that just happened.
So he drew an accurate diagram of all the shielding that you had around this equipment.
And the little quantum chip and its circuitry deep inside.
And when you say he was able to affect something, what in particular was he able to affect?
Well, in general, there was a big oscillating signal coming out of the thing that ran about 30 seconds or so. And then when he affected it, it just stopped oscillating. And then he said, you want me to do something else? And then he made it oscillate fast. And that's when when the graduate students sort of went berserko. So I said, well, I'm sure that was just some kind of coincidental glitch. And he did it again. I then wrote this up and circulated around to other physicists. And pretty soon, the CIA come landing on my doorstep and said, oh, have we been looking for you? And he said, we have a problem. The Russians have been spending millions of dollars at their best institutes trying to use ESP for espionage purposes. And we don't know how to evaluate it. I mean, no scientist in America even believes there is such a thing. And yet you did this experiment, and it looked like this guy could actually get inside this device and describe it and affect it. And here you're at SRI. We have lots of black projects here anyway, so we'd like to check him out. Can you bring him back and let us come and do some experiments?
I love Hal.
That story is so awesome.
It's great.
Oh,
what a world we live in.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. That's the very beginning of this program. That's how it started. And then you get into the people who actually they developed the military protocols. And then when they disband this group and they, say they officially closed or shuttered the program, what happened was all of these military trained remote viewers got out and went into the civilian world. And when they went into the civilian world, they started like an artistic movement, almost like they started like riffing on the technique and adding their own little twists and turns. And then you get like controlled remote viewing, CRV. You get all of these different methods, like what Daz Smith does. Bertie Jaworski has transdimensional mapping. Like you can actually trace, and Daz Smith made a chart that traces the lineage of remote viewing all the way back through all of the different people who've developed these techniques back to the original source at SRI. And it's super cool. The whole topic is like one of the most amazing things.
Yep. And it's nice that you use that clip of Hal, because Hal said something at the Ecosystemic Futures podcast with Dr. Anna Brady Estevez that a lot of people don't pay attention to. But when he was asked about, for example, psychedelics and other like more taboo topics, he said that it's not a coincidence that a lot of these taboo topics were purposely injected with stigma throughout history. And the reason that I created Psychoactivo is because I've been experiencing weird stuff my entire life, and stuff that I couldn't understand. And for the longest time, I thought I was going crazy. And for years, I thought I was like probably affected in some biological way, my brain. And then I started looking into this side of the topic more and how consciousness is related to UFOs. And I realized that I'm not going crazy. There's a lot of people that have experienced really weird stuff in their lives. And I can tell you that I did experience something that convinced me that psi is real, because I experienced something really strange. I don't know what to call it, but I can tell you that 3 people were in a room. We were obviously, this is why people dismiss my experience, because we were under the influence of really strong psychedelics. And we all 3 started listening to each other's voice inside our heads. And we couldn't believe that it was happening. We started crying because it was happening. And we knew somehow that when we woke up the next day after we went to sleep, it was going to be gone. And for the longest time, we all were like, we were just high. That didn't happen, right? But we've been talking now that I'm doing this, and they were like, yeah, that did happen, and it's really strange, and it would be nice if we could get an explanation for it. So some people that keep like talking shit about psi and saying that it's just parlor tricks, I get it. It's been used as a parlor trick for decades, but there is a biological process that goes on inside our organisms that is psi, but it needs to be looked at as a biological process, not as a parlor trick. And it's like a whole process. It's not just like magic, like it happens just like that. And you
And
need
more
to train for it.
importantly, it needs to be not treated as a parlor trick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
the big
the
one
framing.
for me. Someone just said in the chat, "Psi is real." In brackets, so are liars, though. That's right. It's
That's
right.
true.
Yeah.
We
I
have.
agree.
I was just running a poll on the chat, and we had over 150 people in the chat voted, and 90 something, 90, I think it was 92% of you said psi is real, and so there you go, guys.
With this audience,
Settled
This
up.
audience
all
does not
audiences.
represent society, though, but those are great numbers.
Those are great numbers.
Those are rookie
It's a
numbers. You got to
compliment, by
pump
the
those
way.
up.
It's a compliment to the,
Well,
to the
here
audience.
in Germany, we read that over half of the American population thinks that UAPs are real, UFOs are real. Do you think is that representative?
I think so.
I think it's more than half at this
I think it's
point.
more than-
Well over half. Pavel, can I ask you? Oh, go ahead, Clint.
No, go ahead. I have a question for you, Pavel, after Dan.
I was just curious if you said there were 3 of you that had that experience.
Yeah.
Have any of you had anything like that since, either with each other or separately?
None of us have tried it, but I did have subsequent experiences that are different under the influence of psychedelics. And this is why I talk a lot about psychedelics, because even though I know there's shortcuts and they're not for everyone and they have been dangerous, and you have to be responsible with that type of stuff. I think that there's a purpose they were banned and stigmatized in the 60s. It's not just a coincidence,
I agree.
you know?
It keeps the population getting stronger and more confident and knowing how powerful we are. Yeah.
Yes.
MK Ultra figured this stuff out. I think they knew. I think inside these classified
100%.
programs, they were like, when we give this to soldiers, they don't want to fight. When we give it to people, they give up on violence. They just don't want to. We can't let everybody have this shit.
And
how are we going to send people to war?
That's why Pavel's been talking about ego death for every person. It should be mandatory for every human being, because we would lay down weapons, not completely, but it would change the whole world's point of view in a lot of ways.
We would reach that gnosis process, everyone, I think, or at least start the gnosis process. And we have to look at ancient pharmacology as well, because this has been happening forever. Like the Greeks did it constantly at their bacchanals. And
the indigenous in the Amazon give ayahuasca to their babies. They'll put it on the tip of their finger, and they'll let a newborn child will have it. It's the most profound single experience I've ever had in my entire life that changed every single thing about me. Was my one experience on ayahuasca. It was so unbelievable. I am not the same person I was before I did it. I can say that beyond the shadow of a doubt. And that convinced me that psi is a real thing, whatever you want to call psi. But I got all kinds of confirmations to all these different questions I had. And it just was a matter of doing it. And I swear for a minute, I did think I was going to die. I was like, oh my God, I think I just killed myself. But I wonder, Pavel, just the question I wanted to ask you is, do you think that a heroic dose of, and we're not suggesting anybody go do anything illegal, obviously follow your local laws.
But go do it.
But are pharmacologically speaking, is there a
turn
way,
your camera off, Dan?
a way to activate the psi gene? You said this kind of kickstarts this gnosis. Are you saying that like people who have these intense experiences on psychedelics are more likely to experience psi phenomenon after that?
Yes, I do. And it like triggers intuition way faster than and I just spoke about this yesterday with Matthew Roberts, who he's the naval cryptologist that was part of the gimbal incident. He was the one who looked at the video, but he went through a route that made him study a lot of this. And he was like, yeah, I mean, psychedelics are like, they can trigger that, but you got to be really careful because it's just the beginning of a really long process. And there's a lot of people that don't make it back in one piece mentally. So it's dangerous, definitely. So you have to be really careful and really responsible if you do it. But yes, it does. I think it does. It does trigger psi abilities in people. Yeah.
Do you think, and this goes for anyone here, but particularly you, Pavel, because you look at this so much, do you think that you can take any psychedelic drug anytime, right? But to do it the way that I think most people would say is the probably the best way is to do it with intention and to have, like, there's a ceremonial aspect to it. Do you think that the setup and the set and setting, the ceremony, all of the other accoutrements that go along with it is as important as the substance itself?
Yes, it is.
It's the collective thing brought together.
It's not that you bring it up, because there are like two ways that have been done. This has been done throughout history. One way is that the more initiated people in all of that are the ones that lead the way to the ones that want to do it for the first time. So you have to have somebody who is experienced in it that can take you through it. That's the role that shamans play, but it's not just shamans, it's mystics in general. The other way is the more organic and natural way. And let me give you the best example that I can find. In Guadalajara, where I was born in Mexico, there is this time of the year between August and September where it always rains. And out of cow poo, these mushrooms grow. And during that time, uh, you are, like, in a sense, invited by the mushroom to go to the forest and to experience the mushroom in a natural environment as it's supposed to be. You have to go, obviously, with people who know about it, but even Mother Nature is telling you this is the time when it happens. In my estimation, you shouldn't be doing it all year round. Like that, there's a reason why they grow only during that period of time in my town in Guadalajara, and it happens in many more towns. But the earth in Guadalajara is very specific. So um, those are like two ways that have been done that I think are safe. I think, but if you do it responsibly, you can't just like swallow a whole kilo of shrooms. You'll die. Like, I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying is, like, people, I tell the story that it happened to me, but my experience was so subjective, and it was very specific to that time in my life. And there was a lot going on. So for me, there was like a year-long run-up of preparation and all kinds, just mentally getting ready. But then there's people, there are people who will, smoke DMT in their living room, and they'll be watching, a movie or something while they do it. I feel like those people are getting cheated of the full scope and scale of the learning that can take place. You almost have to, like, you have to go in humble and be ready to just get destroyed by this thing. Yeah, that's like what in my case. I went to this place it's in Cusco, and so it's actually north of Cusco. But we went to this little teeny tiny house, and I had a guide. She came into the room. My wife was there, and this guide comes in and she sits down, and she spent like 30 minutes. She was like, "This is what's going to happen. Step 1, step 2, step 3. You're going to walk into the room. The guy is going to, the shaman's going to ask you a question. He's going to look at you. He's going to pour it into the cup. This is what you do." And she just kind of gave me this whole step by step. And then she said, no matter what happens, just go with it. You have got to not fight this thing. Then you got to say yes and go in, just, you got to man up. This is going to be like, it's going to rock your world. And it did. It shook me. But she said something interesting when she was telling me what to prepare for. And she said, after the ceremony is over, you'll notice that this is going to continue to work on you for a long time. This substance will be like, you're going to make a change to your body when you take this, and it's going to affect you. And I didn't really understand what she meant at the time. But I had all kinds of very bizarro moments there. Like, I remember I drank the stuff, which was about a cup this big of ayahuasca filled to the top. So it was like this much. And it was a lot. And
couple stevia in there, or
no, God, it was the worst. It was so awful. But this is just one of many weird things that happen, right? So I drink this stuff, and then I felt like I had to sneeze. and I felt like I was gonna, just like, when you sneeze, you just can't do anything about it. So I grabbed some paper towels. Everybody has a roll of paper towels because you're gonna, need them. And I sneezed into this paper towel. And when I took this is gonna be a little gross, but I took the thing away, and it was like printer's ink. It was like black printer's ink came out of my head, and I'm like, what is this? And I don't understand what it was. The spiritual explanation that I got was that this is like some of the stuff that you need to purge. It's just a lot of like things that need to, you've got to let go of some stuff. And so you're going to see that.
You were imagining this at the time that was coming out on the paper, or was physically coming out on the paper?
Real. It was before it took effect. And I sneezed into my handkerchief or whatever, my paper towels. And I looked at it, and it was like black ink.
That's interesting.
And I go like this, and I could feel the cold sweat starting to break on my forehead. And I go, that's so strange. And then I laid back on the floor, and I'm on this little mat, and I'm laying there, and it's dead quiet. There's all you can hear is the wind blowing outside, and just people breathing. It's just me, and there are two French girls that are together, and they're side by side. The shaman, his assistant, and my wife was off by the door, just kind of there to observe. And I heard this female voice right inside my right ear, right next to my head, just giggle. And then she said, "Are you ready?" And I was like, "I don't know. Am I ready?" She said, "Are you ready? You have to let go." And I go, "What does that mean?" She goes, you gotta let go. And it was kind of like that. And I couldn't figure out how to let go for like 10 minutes. I'm like, I don't know how to let go. What do you mean? And then as soon as I did it, I figured out it was like really awkward to figure out what that meant. But when I did get a sense of it, it was like being fired out of a cannon at the speed of light into the center of the galaxy. It was the strangest feeling. But God damn, it was the weirdest moment of my life, and it really did change things
for the better.
For the better. Oh my God. Yeah. I quit drinking. Yeah. Like I lost my taste for alcohol. I lost my taste for bullshit. I lost my taste for all kinds of toxic shit in my life that was going on. I saw my child before he was born. We were told it was medically impossible to have a child, my wife and I, by multiple different experts. I said, don't plan on it. And I saw 5 years before he was born, I saw a vision of my boy.
And you said he was like a light being, right, or something.
Like a little,
kind of saw him.
Genderless at the time, a being of light, a little toddler, like a 3-4-year-old toddler-sized being made out of light. That, if you can imagine being in the mental space, when you're meditating, imagine like when you don't literally see walls, but you have the sense that there is a wall, and then there is a breakingness of this wall, and this little kid burst through like the Kool-Aid Man. It was the weirdest thing. And he just kind of ran around me, and he was just like, just like my kid. And when my son was born, that's who he is. That's his little energy. It's the same guy. And I met him before, and at the same trip while I was gone and I met my son, I met my mother-in-law who had passed away from terminal brain cancer not too long before. And I saw them both together. And it was like, she gave me the nod, and then she was saying like, "Here's your kid." And then I come back home, I go back to my life. I didn't understand what the kid thing was all about. And a few years later, we found out we were going to have a kid, and that's who my boy was. So like for me, I was done. I was convinced at that point, this is all very, very real. And I need to like readjust
that was very sweet.
Dude, it led to my starting this podcast and all of this stuff.
When you, this is a serious question, I'm not trying to be funny, but when you saw your son, was it like in Cocoon when you see when they take the skin off and like they're made of light but there's eyes, or was it just a shape of a child in light form?
It was the shape of a child, but like a light being, like a being of, I just can't, it's just imagine, like the shape of a toddler just glowing as bright as it can. And it's just, the whole thing is a light bulb.
That's beautiful, dude.
So weird. It rocked me.
You got me choked up. That was very, very sweet. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know this.
Oh my God.
Wonderful.
It's going to be cool eventually when you tell your son this story. Like, he's going to know that from his dad. That's pretty cool.
You should dress him up as the Kool-Aid Man for Halloween.
I came back. I told my wife, I said, I saw your mom. She's okay. She's fine. I saw a little kid. I don't know what that was about, and we just we filed it. And then years later, when it finally happened, it was like, oh my god. Can I prove it? Can I prove it beyond in a court of law that this all happened and this is all exactly real and it all, no, but for, internally, my framework for reality shifted from one experience that lasted a period of 4.5 hours. And it was like, I thought everybody should do this. I don't know how people can I don't know how to explain it. It's like, you can't really explain it to somebody.
You also don't need to prove it to anybody. I think a lot of us need to stop, trying to think we have to prove things to people. We can have our own experiences that are not provable to the public or to other people, but are very profound for us. And that's enough. That's plenty.
Yeah. But I think you were also very lucky, or did this at the right moment at the right time, because I know of many people that have these state experiences, and then they fall back into their life and they're just craving to get another of these state experiences. And it doesn't actually change them. They don't feel as if they were changed forever by the experience.
I think that's the missing piece. It's you have to want it. You have to want to change. And that means, part of that means understanding what changing means. It means you're going to have to let go of some stuff, and it's not going to be pleasant. And you're going to feel unfamiliar and weird. You're going to step into this new thing, whatever it is. And I feel like we don't have language for it in our culture, really. We're trying to rediscover how to even talk about this, and the best people we have to do it are like Joe Rogan and Graham Hancock. We really don't have a lot of spiritual teachers in the West that are steeped in this knowledge, and we don't have a tradition, a history that goes back 1,000 years of, spiritual experts and shamans.
We had the Inquisition to get rid of it. We had it here in the West, at least in Europe.
Well, partly my understanding is, and I'd be interested in asking some of your panelists at State of the World about this, but my understanding is that a big part of the genocide of Native Americans when the Europeans came to North America, it was eliminating an alternative way of life, an alternative way of thinking, alternative vision of what the universe and reality even are. It erased all of that and replaced it with what we've got. And, it seems just like
this is
that's
a
what's
perfect
missing.
segue. Yeah, it's a perfect segue to a question I would like to ask all of you, because do you guys think that it is ethical to have UAP NHI disclosure without also at the same time having this psi deeper reality disclosure?
I say rip the Band-Aid off.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's ethical. That's my issue with Age of Disclosure. I haven't seen the film, but I've seen the trailer and the sneak preview. And from what I can see, it doesn't seem to kind of rip off both at the same time.
I think it's impossible to separate the two. When one happens, the other one is, if it doesn't happen at the same time, is going to closely follow, because they're linked intimately. So it's not a matter of whether it's ethical or not. It's going to happen anyway, I think.
I think you're right. It's impossible to separate, but it's also impossible to digest it all at the same time. So I think that maybe a staggered approach might be better for society and civilization. It's a lot to take in at one time. If you dump UFOs are real, so is telepathy and telekinesis and remote viewing, and you can go out of body whenever you want and go float anywhere in the universe. That's a lot to digest for people.
That's what Stephen Greer did with CE5, basically.
Yeah, and look where it got us. We haven't moved a whole...
Well, there's an interesting a little tidbit in that clip that I showed you where Joe McMoneagle says, if you want to know how the trigger mechanism works in a nuclear weapon, you can go out of body. Mm-hmm. And you can, that's one technique, and you can stick your face into the nuclear weapon, or you can remote view. And I think this is the next level of this conversation, is how many different flavors of psi are there, and how many different types of, ways to use it are there? Is it something like, is it like any other muscle where you can do a lot of different things with it if you just understand how to use it? Or is it something that's limited to a certain suite of abilities? Or we don't even know, or maybe we do. Maybe there are people who know, but they're not going to share it.
Great question. I have no answer.
I think it's the biggest disclosure that's happening. I think the psi disclosure is bigger than UAP disclosure.
I mean, you've got to be able to teach people how to do it and let them do it themselves, or it doesn't matter. Like disclosing it is one thing, but you have to have people that can actually pick it up and learn it and then go, wow, I just did it. Oh my God.
I think Georg has made a great point too. I think you're right. If you look at the last few congressional hearings over the last 3 years, those were cool. And like it moved the needle for us, but the telepathy tapes was a worldwide phenomenon discussed by everybody in every walk of life. So I think you're exactly right on what you just said.
And that disclosure is being catastrophic, by the way. The side disclosure, it's not like it's just coming out, and it is going to keep coming out, contrary to the other one. I think it's really endearing that they think they can like keep control over everything. They're not going to be able to at a certain point because it's naturally coming out.
Dan, you've got something to say. I can see it.
I was going to say that, well, you know, we're talking about UFO disclosures too, but there's also some big movements on that stuff this last week with Lakatsky and James Fox. We didn't get into we didn't talk about what the doctor in Virginia said yet.
That's one. I've got the clip of News 8 News Now with George Knapp interviewing Lakatsky. I've got the shorter version. I don't have, he's got the full hour on the weaponized.
Just to kind of maybe finish off that thought, as in like who's in control right now. I think the conversation that we're having is great, and like ultimately, I think everybody is sort of guided by the feelings of the majority, and at the moment we're not the majority. Like most people aren't talking about this kind of stuff. So for the moment, it seems that disclosure seems to be guided by what DOPSA approves. It's still very much a case of I can't say until DOPSA says. Even Grush was DOPSA approved. Like everyone that says anything of any meaning at the moment is DOPSA approved. So that has to kind of tell you something. At the same time, I don't believe that they're not listening to the conversations that are being had, and documentaries, hopefully like Age of Disclosure and hopefully James Fox's I guess you could call it a V2 of Moment of Contact. I really hope they get more people into the conversation itself at this point, because at this point it's almost like there's like the divide is growing, as in we're in deeper than I think we've ever been at this point. But the vast majority of people are still completely out of this subject at this point. That's the problem.
I don't know. I mean, are you sure? Because it feels like Telepathy Tapes was the most popular podcast. It beat Joe Rogan for a period of time. And Joe Rogan, it was the most popular UFO podcast. Every time Bob Lazar shows up or anybody, it's like millions of views. I mean,
I'm not saying there's not a hunger for this.
Bill Maher.
It's growing. It's growing.
We didn't talk about it because I tried to talk about it, but my video got pulled because of HBO. But Bill Maher's whole thing was, it basically gave half the show to Dan Farah, or at least a third of the show. And you could tell, my sense was that Bill doesn't really buy into all this, but he appeared to, for the purpose of pumping up the documentary.
He's been talking to people already, though. He's been talking to people in the background about
this. And remember when Sam Harris a while back said, I was approached by someone who said they were part of this and they wanted to start recruiting people in the media to start helping people in the public digest this message. And this is Sam Harris, who's not known for being a bullshitter or an exaggerator. He's a pretty level-headed guy. And then he said they disappeared. They kind of ghosted him and it never materialized into anything. I wonder if it's the same people behind all this that are basically green-lighting, okay, Bill Maher.
I don't think that the conversation is... I think the conversation really is being pushed to a wider audience at this point, and I think that's for a good reason. And I'm actually not of the opinion that they actually want to keep this secret at this point. I think the actual goal for pretty much everybody at this point is to bring this information out. I don't think there are many people left that think that this needs to stay secret. It's even just Lakatsky. More of a case. Like Lakatsky. Exactly like Lakatsky. He wants controlled disclosure. And at the moment, I see no evidence that we are in any sort of control of the disclosure. Having said that, as I said, the conversation is driven forward by people like us, by State of the World, the State of the World Forum, and they are watching that stuff. Some of them are part of it. Like they have people everywhere. So,
I think that's what we're seeing right now. Like, that's what I mean at the beginning of the show when I said this is like, we will look back and go, this was the punk rock time that we didn't realize. People who are new to this, like the young guns out there who are just now like getting into this whole topic, have no clue how far we've come. We're in uncharted waters. It is so weird.
Like George Knapp says all the time, like he goes, you have no idea. Like George's been doing this for 40 years. He goes, you have no idea how little was known, and how far we've come. Just what you just said. George has been saying that for 10 years.
I would say, and we're about the same age. I would say from the time we were kids to now is a completely different world. I would go so far as to say you basically kind of have unofficial disclosure already. You can call like I would say we're kind of there.
David Grush was disclosure for me. I'll say it again. That was it for me.
And Lukatsky, look, he just said on Weaponized, he said, I wrote like 6 books, and that's every word I can tell you. If Congress called me in today, I couldn't tell them more than is in those books. So if you want to know what I know, read them. There it is.
That's enough. Yeah.
Go to your local library if you don't want to buy them and check them out. And there you go. So, craft are real. The psi abilities are real. Many more people every year are experiencing them. I think people are experimenting on their own. They're learning about it. They're figuring out what's possible and exploring their own consciousness. I think one big problem is that society is just so loud. A lot of times it's hard to just see past the fucking price of groceries and the bills and the job and the thing and the travel and whatever. You really do need to carve out that space in your life to find the time or make the time to cultivate this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have a discipline or a practice that you do? Or, is it as small, even something small, like what do you guys do for your own expansion, spiritual expansion?
I have a thing that my mom taught me when I was younger. In seminars that I attended when I was a teenager, where I use something called the observer. And this is a tool that you use in order to try to steer the things you want and the situations that you want to be involved in through using that observer. You can have it, make it be anything you want. It can be like an avatar. In my case, it was like a little recording camera that had the recording on the top. And I've been using that thing forever. And those seminars that I did with my mother, I was very judgmental about them for the longest time. And then many of the tools that I learned there, I kept just using them because it was just like a tradition just like a tradition. And I kept doing it. And I don't know if it worked or not, but I've been really lucky my entire life. And I've always used that. And just to give you a little example of how I used it, about 5 or 6 years ago, I remember I have the screenshots of that. I was following these movie critics called Christian Harloff and Mark Ellis, and I used to follow them quite a bit. And I spoke to Mark on X on the DMs. And I remembered, I told him, I was like, oh, it would be really cool if we could collaborate together on something in the future. And I just left it there. And I completely forgot about that. And then in December 2023, I sent Christian Harloff an email because I realized that he was doing UFO related stuff. And I told him that I wanted to get into talking about this more openly. The dude responded to my email, and like less than 2 weeks later, I started doing my content on his channel. And then I saw the conversation I had with Mark, and I showed it to Christian. He was like, dude, you basically manifested this, but you were not specific in what you wanted. So you told Mark that you wanted to work with us, but it happened many years later. And that's just one example of many things that my observer helped me get. But you got to be specific. Otherwise, you will get it in a very different way. You ask for a car, you can get a toy car many years later, the exact same car you asked for, but you weren't specific. I'm just talking about banal stuff here, like a car, but you can literally use it to ask for anything. And and be specific and truly believe that it can happen, though, because if you don't, it's not going to work. I think intention is very important when it comes to psi. You gotta trust that it's actually happening. Otherwise, it's not going to happen, I think.
And there are levels too, right? Like there is still the shared reality, like you're not going to change everything in the whole world around you, but you're going to change your relationship to the world in these practices, which are going to attract things. But changing other people or making things happen just because, I mean, there are limitations and there's almost like rules. But yeah, it's I've experienced that too. Just weird manifestations and synchronicities all the time.
Yep.
Georg, we're coming up on the last 10 minutes here before we wrap.
Yes.
I want to bring it back to State of the World. What else would you like to cover that we haven't asked you about yet?
Well, I think very practically, let's just say, I don't think we have actually mentioned it. So this year, this December 14th to 17th, it's a 4-day event that starts on a Sunday. It's a virtual summit, so it's on Zoom, but it has its own community platform happening at the same time. And it's the initiation of a community that will grow and kind of learn together over the next 5 years. And I see this community here represented by you guys. Basically, you're part of this movement already, if you know it or not. I think we're aligned on so many key issues. But what's going to happen from December 14th to 17th this December is basically every day 2 panels on these different convergences of the 4 intelligences. So I would just encourage you all to go to stateoftheworld.forum and check out the page, check out the schedule, and then we have a special coupon code also for everybody here in the audience. It's just night shift, the coupon code, and with that coupon code you get a huge discount and makes it easier for you guys to participate.
I'm excited to see this. That's right at my birthday. My birthday is December 15th, actually.
Nice.
So it's a perfect. I'm going to have a few days where I don't have to do anything. I'm going to sit down and
that's awesome.
Go through this, but I'm so excited for this project, man. This is amazing.
No, it's really not just about what we're doing this year. This is really about coining a new meme in the mainstream. Like our goal would be, for example, in Wired to cover UAP's topics, right? Like just like AI already moved the needle a lot and has made it much more acceptable to think of AGI and non-human intelligence. But we're missing something like a little bit or to connect this to the UAP stuff. So we feel as if we're like at the threshold of coming into a whole new world of possible conversations. And all it really takes is like a critical mass of people and experts to want to have the larger conversation. And ultimately, this idea of a language of consciousness is highly unifying. And we need a global narrative platform that's about more than just division. I think we're being cheated on. Exactly what you said. Like, what did we do the last 20 years that moved the needle globally?
Oh my gosh, that's like, such a great point.
I think, sorry.
It just feels like, the last 20 years have just been this like downward slide, and there was like so much opportunity and potential. Yeah. What were you going to say, Xander? I'm sorry.
Last 20 years, everybody just stopped talking to each other. More than anything, everybody just stopped talking to each other. And I think that the fact that the state of the world is really, it's like, this isn't a UFO conference at the end of the day, is it? We talk all the time about UFOs and aliens and NHI and stuff, but in its purest form, the state of the world is exactly the same as it was when it was first started. It's about taking humanity forward together into the future, and it's great that ufology is now actually part of that, sort of strong-armed into the conversation, perhaps this year, but maybe next year it's not.
It is, absolutely. There's no way around it. I mean, we make the case that you can't have a conversation on the state of the world without talking about this. If you do, you're myopic. You don't actually look at what's going on.
I agree, and the fact that it's just people from all walks of life talking about this now. It has the potential to really grow into something special, and I wish you the best of luck, and I will be 100% in attendance. So, yeah.
No, thank you guys for having me on, and I'm a huge fan of your show, as you know, and I really think you're doing a great job in bringing all these different perspectives, because you're exactly, also you, Pavel, and Dan, at this intersection of talking about AI, talking about disclosure, talking about the geopolitical kind of machinations in the background, the big history of ideas, right? And trying to understand, like, what's happening for this generation, what's happening there. It feels extremely potentiated, but also the disclosure traffic light is on orange, and I think it's like we have to come into agreement that it's a green wave now. Like, nobody's going to do it for us.
We need this conversation. We need some optimism. We need to visualize a future worth looking forward to, because there's such a lack of imagination right now, and a lack of sense of possibility. And I think people feel really mired in a place that's kind of like just sort of listless and adrift. You know, like what are we doing? You know, the Cold War's over. We have, like, why are we spending all of this money on nuclear weapons? Like, shouldn't we be solving global problems and trying to figure out how to conduct ourselves?
It sounds strange,
but that's a consciousness level question here. That's a consciousness level. That's a paradigm that you inhabited, maybe because of your trip, maybe of many factors. But you know, what is the positive message that enables people to adapt this narrative, adapt this paradigm? It has to have a felt experience, has to have they have to have a vantage point, an overview effect, a state experience that lets them look beyond cultural differences and see kind of the blue marvel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or have an experience of the language of consciousness, of oneness to some extent. And as long as we don't make that part of our culture, of our cultural operating system globally, we're not going to get there. And so what I'm afraid of is UAP disclosure without that. And that's what I'm afraid. I mean, that's my fear with the age of disclosure in and of itself, to from the trailer present disclosure as the start of a new Cold War, to back engineer this technology, and ignoring the exotic technology that's sitting in front of the webcam. That's us.
Oh, right? My God.
Because if we're just doing disclosure for a new Cold War of UAP tech, we're all disempowered. We're all just in a new state of fear, and it's a perfect
we all
excuse for more control. Yeah, so we don't want it to be deep state disclosure or deep state kind of full control initiation.
or tech bro disclosure either.
Right, tech bro disclosure. Yep. That's a good one.
I think part of what we're seeing now is the framing of that conversation, right? They're framing the discussion around this Cold War narrative. Like, we can't let the Chinese get there first. We sure can't let the Russians do it. And maybe the conversation should be, well, what if we had the technology to solve all our problems? Maybe we don't need to be antagonistic against each other, and maybe we could find what common solutions could we find with our Chinese and Russian friends? You know,
like,
maybe
we have
there's
the most
a way.
ontologically shifting reality in the history of the species come upon us. And what do we do with it? Like, what's the tagline of the film trailer? Oh, it's a new Cold War. Like, come on, guys. Let's spend some moments resting on that realization.
It is true, though.
Yeah, but to be fair, the most recent clip that they released, that does talk about a different avenue that they're gonna explore, which is us humans are not sufficiently evolved to deal with such advanced technology, because even though our technology has evolved to a really dangerous point, our morals haven't. And that is absolutely true worldwide. So the fact of the matter is that those who have power, and all of the countries that have this power, are using it to proliferate war and to perpetuate it. And that is something that also needs to be addressed, because if they are going to talk about this threat narrative, I think, but they're also, I think, based on what I saw recently, going to talk about human nature, which is one of the major issues that we're dealing with. And I think that is one of the major issues that is going to be tackled at this event that we've been talking about today, right?
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
The corresponding...
How does human nature have to relate differently to the fact that we're not alone, but not just not alone in terms of NHI, but also never alone in between us, hearing each other's thoughts potentially, and embedded in the ecosystem and AI agents at the same time. So it's pretty crowded.
Yeah, and we're going to have to learn quick how to handle ourselves in that new world, or we won't survive very long.
Can I
just what's going on?
Can I disagree with Pavel for 1 second?
No one ever disagrees with what are you talking
No, because he's always right. But no, that is true. In a sense, we're being led by people that haven't evolved morally. But I thought that was a great segue into, if you don't mind, Clint, I'd like to we're in November now, so the month of October is over. I have completed the fundraising month at the Dreamland Motel. So I would like to reveal those results, if you don't mind.
Please do.
Yay!
Okay,
why would that be disagreeing with me?
No, because morally, maybe we're a quiet corner of the internet at the end of the day, but we've chosen, we're not just a bunch of crazy people in the internet just talking about random stuff. We've done some cool stuff this month, and my channel is brand new. It's like, I think it's 5 months. It's 5 months old now. And October was a great month. So you guys raised $1,300
wow,
within
beautiful.
1 month. And the YouTube revenue from myself is about $800. So in total, we have raised $2,100 for mental health charities. So this crazy little corner of the internet that we're talking about crazy stuff all the time. Regardless, we have done some cool stuff for some people that really need it, and we should be really proud of ourselves. Like we're moving the conversation forward with talk, but at the same time, we can be useful to the wider community, whether they're listening or not. So thank you very much for everybody else that.
Well, thanks for organizing that, Xander. That was amazing of you to do.
Congrats and thanks to you and your audience, Ender. That's very cool.
Thank you. The donation has already been made from my part. I will be, for those that will doubt, I will post some sort of evidence of it in tomorrow at some point. But honestly, I didn't think it'd be this successful. So seriously, amazing, great job, everybody. Really good job.
Yay!
Good job, folks. That's awesome.
Well, I think that's a great place to leave it for this Friday as we roll into the weekend, and I look forward to taking my kid to the medieval fair tomorrow.
Wow.
Get a turkey leg. Gotta get a turkey
One of those giant turkey legs, yeah. I'm gonna super excited. The website is stateoftheworld.forum, everyone. If you want to check it out, we'll put a link to it in the chat as well. You'll see it in our Discord, and we'll be talking about it more here on the channel. But stateoftheworld.forum, go there, get your tickets. If you do decide to attend, use the discount code NIGHTSHIFT in checkout for a discount on your tickets to hear these amazing speakers talk about something that we all share in common, the common language of consciousness and the state of the little planet, the little blue marble that we all call home. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Thank you, Georg, for sharing this with us. And I'd love to have you back again to discuss it one more time before everything kicks off.
Low on the doom today, but I don't mind.
Low on the doom today, but high
Not
on
every
the
weekend needs
optimism.
to be doom. We'll have a good weekend this weekend.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can visit us at teamnightshift.com if you want to pick up a piece of cool merch. And as always, take care of yourselves out there. Be nice to each other. And keep looking up, everybody.